What's up, coffee people? How's it going? Making a video here at night. Nursing the last little bit of my holiday beard, my holiday weekend beard. Took the weekend off. I had a really good holiday weekend. I hope you all did too. And if you watched my last video, I was talking about how I was roasting coffee for my family, and I did. And you may have also seen that I also drank all that coffee. My family and I drank it in about 4 hours flat, which shows you the kind of family I'm from. I love you, Mom and Dad, by the way. Anyways, I had to roast some more coffee, and I was digging through my my green coffee samples that I have here in my magic drawer, and came across some Pacamara coffee, and I was drinking it today, trying to keep my eyes closed. The Seahawks got their butts handed to them on a platter by Green Bay, but I was noticing how good the coffee tasted, thank goodness, because it took my mind off the game. And I've talked a lot about Pacamara coffee before on this blog, and I thought I would just show you a little bit about what I'm talking about. So first of all, varieties are one of the most overlooked things in coffee. People, they understand light roast, dark roast, they understand latte, cappuccino, and people even understand the difference between Brazil and Colombia, or Kenya and Ethiopia. But even within those countries, of course, you've got many different kinds of coffee plants growing, and just like a Merlot grape is different from a Cabernet grape, Pacamara, for example, is different from a Bourbon, and there are literally dozens of varieties that are grown around the world. There are actually hundreds and hundreds in existence, but most of the varieties are made up. Most of the varieties that are grown commercially come from a group of a couple of dozen main varieties. But anyway, one of the lesser known ones that I'm always talking about on here is the Pacamara. And then the name Pacamara comes from Pacas, which is a mutation of the Bourbon varietal, named for a family in El Salvador, and Maragogipe, or Maragogipe as some people say, which is a large bean varietal, also common or somewhat found in Latin America. So you get a very interesting bean characteristic with these coffees. I've got some green right here. Let's see if I can get that in front of the thing. And I'll show you up close here. You get some beans that look somewhat like a little bit of a canoe shape, like that. You see that? And then they're always mixed in with some larger beans. You can see an example right here. And this is very common among Pacamara samples, or Pacamara lots. And when they roast up, it's very interesting because you can see there'll be a large difference in size when the beans roast up. Here I've got my roasted sample right here. This is what I roasted yesterday morning. Really good coffee. And see if I can get that up there. You can see a relatively large difference in bean size on these in this coffee. And first of all, it makes it very difficult to roast Pacamaras because, of course, the size of the bean is going to have a large impact on how that bean absorbs heat from the roasting process. And if the beans are different sizes and perhaps even different densities, they're going to absorb heat at different rates, which means that some are going to want to develop faster than others. Others will be in danger of tipping or scorching. It's actually quite possible to make an excellent roast with Pacamara, just like it is possible with just about any bean. But it takes a little extra care. In my experience, it's a good idea to not ramp up the heat too quickly at the beginning, or to drop the coffee with too high of an initial heat, because some of the you end up getting tipping and scorching problems like that. So this one came out really well, inspired me to make this post. Another thing I can say about Pacamaras is that the most highly sought after ones are from the northern region of El Salvador, which is an area, has several different names depending if you're talking about the province or the towns around there. I always refer to it as Chalatenango, which is the name of the northernmost province there. People usually know what you're talking about when you mention that, Chalatenango. But what's unique about Chalatenango is that it has a rich red clay-like soil. In other areas in that country, and in many parts of Latin America you get volcanic soil, but you don't necessarily get clay-like soil like that. It turns out that these Pacamaras do really, really well in that particular soil, and they get a really unique flavor profile. So it's an odd combination genetically of the Maragogipe and the Pacas. It's a strange looking bean in terms of the size difference and the unique shape of the bean, the canoe shape. And then when it grows in that interesting soil, you get a really interesting flavor profile. So if I was going to describe what makes a really good Pacamara taste really great, I would say it has a good medium acidity and a medium body like your typical Bourbon, and the best ones are really, really chocolatey. This one feels like I just ate a chocolate covered bean, even though there was no chocolate on that one. And that also shares similar with Bourbon varietal coffee. But Pacamara also has a very interesting, often a buttery characteristic to it, both in the flavor and in the mouthfeel. And then it has a very unique herbaceous quality. So if you can think of fresh growing garden herbs just around the edge of the flavor profile in a really fine quality sample, that makes for a really unique thing. I don't know if you've ever had chocolate with a little bit of rosemary nearby, but it's quite a treat. And some Pacamaras like this one here remind me of that. So it's a really unique coffee, and you don't see that much of it, especially outside of the specialty industry, but even within the specialty industry you don't see that much Pacamara. So I'm really pleased with this. This is not a commercial sample. I would tell you where it's available, but I'll put some links below here for anybody who's carrying Pacamara coffee. So if you're interested in that, you can go out and order some. And what else do I have to say? Oh, yeah. Look on beneath and on the side of the blog, whichever direction it's on. I just joined Twitter, and I'm dropping notes there every day, a couple times a day, about interesting coffees I have, since I only have a chance to blog once a day, and I have a lot more than one cup of coffee every day. So follow me on Twitter if you're on Twitter. Also, you can sign up for my Facebook in the link below me. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we've got some cool new videos coming up later this week. I'm going to visit the Coffee Enhancement Lounge in South Seattle, and that's going to be really cool. Until next time, remember, coffee should taste good, and I hope you enjoy yours.